All right. So, very recently, you saw that I talked to you guys about Sanctum, and you guys have asked and asked and asked, what is that character from the video? If you haven't seen my last video, I was running Sanctum, and I mean a lot of Sanctum. And I've talked to you guys about Sanctum and different ways to run Sanctum, and I was talking to you guys about the Quant Relic farming strategy. This farming strategy essentially said that I had 100% increased quantity of relics, and I would go into my Sanctum and I would blitz the Sanctum and I would go room to room, wouldn't pay attention to anything, wouldn't worry about anything, and I would just delete every single mob on the screen. My rooms were taking me actually no time at all. I was able to completely blitz the Sanctum. My runs for Sanctum take about 8 to 10 minutes, depending on how focused I am, and I was able to just like blitz Sanctum after Sanctum and just clear the content, no problem at all. Overall, this is probably one of my favorite builds to play in Sanctum. I loved every second of playing this character. I still play this character off stream, and Sanctum's for me is fun. It's something enjoyable and good to do, and I really like the hunt and the chase of Original Sin. It's one of the coolest ideas of an item in the game, and the fact that like you have to like jump through so many hoops to be able to get the item makes it really cool. And just the fact that the item itself is worth just over a mirror to like get it is, you know, kind of fun. Now, I know a lot of people are saying that Sanctum's not one of the best farming strategies in the game, and saying that the divine per hour and this and that, and yeah, it's fine. But you know what? I like Sanctum. I enjoy doing Sanctum. I think Sanctum's super fun, and I want to be able to do my Sanctums. I want to not be able to think. I want to turn my brain off, and I want to have a character that essentially can just go through Sanctum, not bat an eye at anything, and just go room to room and just blow everything up. And today I want to talk to you about this character here that you're watching on the screen now. I figured instead of just recording some free footage and just like having a bunch of stuff, I would just play the character before you for a little bit, go over the POB, walk you through what you need, provide you with a high level POB with the weapon that I'm using, and then provide you with the POB my buddy Blossom is using, which is a little bit scaled down. You don't need the weapon that this character is using, and you're still able to do the Sanctums just as fast. Now, you'll know that, you know, we've been here for maybe like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, depending on, you know, how long I was recording or whatnot. And we've already cleared floor 1. And, you know, every floor is like this. You know, you just don't think, you just go floor to floor to floor to floor. Now, the rest of this Sanctum Run I'll include at the end of this video. I will save that for you guys. And, you know, right now, let's jump into the character and what's going on and what we're playing. As you see before you, we are playing an assassin. I'm going to hide my face for a second. We are a low life, righteous fire, eldritch battery, dance rocker outer guy. So essentially, we don't worry about our health pool. We kill everything before it kills us, and we just fly through all the content. We are indeed playing an assassin. We have the Wildwood Ascendancy for charms, and we'll go over that in a second. But let's start overall with the gear, the POB, what to expect and what not to expect. On my version of the character that I'm currently playing, I have the Faded Ram Scepter that I have made this league with the help of you guys. The Scepter has been serviced a whole bunch, and I really just wanted to play with the weapon that I made. I mentioned earlier that my buddy Blossom is also playing the character. I have this POB for you guys down in the description. It's essentially the exact same thing that I'm playing here, but instead of spending 4,672 divines on a mirror weapon, he has done it with an annihilating light staff, and this thing is just as good, just as strong, and I've tested it out and it works just as well. So this POB with that will be down below. Now, overall, the concept behind the character that we're playing is we are using the new Ralakesh version of the boots, or the new version Ralakesh boots, to charge stack. We're using those charges to scale our damage to the moon, and we're just blowing up everything with Penance Brand. So our main 6th link is a Penance Brand of Dissipation. We power it with Empower 4. We have a power charge on crit. We're doing an Awaken added fire damage. We have a concentrated effect and a Swift Brand support. This is what gives us the ability to cast all these brands, have them go off at the speed of light, and insta-kill all of the mobs. We're going to be putting that inside of Replica Restless Ward with +1 level of socketed gems. Now, I have not priced out this character in a while, so I don't know what this costs. An unlinked Replica Restless Ward's about 22-30 divines. Even linked, it's the same thing. So the chest plate itself is a little expensive. Penance Brand, you don't need a 21 or 2120. You can get away with a 2020. The 2120 just adds more damage, which puts you into that billion of DPS. Now, 2120 itself is going to be very, very, very expensive. You don't need this. You just kind of go with a 2020 and just kind of cruise for like ADC. Get a corrupted one unless you want to gamble on the 2120 yourself. Now, we're using the Restless Ward for one big reason. It gives us movement speed equal to our frenzy charges, and because we are a charge stacker and we're using the Ralakesh boots, the Ralakesh boots say we always count as having our maximum charges all the time. So we're always at maximum power frenzy enduring charges, and because of the armor, we just have movement speed. And this armor pairs really, really, really well with Badge of the Brotherhood. Badge of the Brotherhood is giving us frenzy charges equal to our power charges. And because, like I had mentioned, we are a power charge stacking character, we have a ton of power charges, so we have a ton of frenzy charges. So we just have really, really, really fast movement speed, and it's quite wonderful. Now, the main 6th link we're going to put in the body armor because we want to keep our main hand and our offhand free to do different things. Now, I had mentioned that I was using Fate Ram. This thing gives us plus to all spell skill gems, plus the fizz skill gems, spell damage, cast speed, spell damage, crit multi, double damage. This thing gives us the works. It's quite wonderful. It's quite nice. I use it on a multitude of builds that I play, but you don't need it. You can get away with the Annihilating Light Staff, such as in the POB down below. Now, since our main 6th link is in our body armor, in our weapon, we're going to be using our Righteous Fire, our fastest casting, and our Frost Blink of Wintry Blast. A lot of people ask me about Frost Blink and how it can blink and do all these things. That's because of Frost Blink of Wintry Blast. So essentially what happens is Frost Blink of Wintry Blast allows me to Frost Blink pretty much non-stop all the time ever. Now, I've talked to Blossom about this, and Blossom actually prefers Flame Dash to Frost Blink of Wintry Blast, so you make the decision on what you like more. Now, I had mentioned that there's the Annihilating Staff that you can use, but I like the one hand and the offhand setup a lot. I like the Malachai's Loop. It gives us just, you know, chance for power charge, which we always have power charges. We get spell damage per power charge. We never really lose the power charges, so it just gives us a lot of overall damage. I do think the Scepter version, or the Staff version, is slightly better and will give us more damage. I haven't really played with the POB, but I think triple damage is better. But you can decide yourself if you want to do the one hand offhand or the staff, or the staff yourself. If you choose to go with a one-hander and you want to craft your own weapon, the weapon craft itself is not very difficult. You use fossils to get +1 spell skill gems. You lock your prefixes. You cannot roll. You do multi-mod. Prefixes cannot be changed. Cannot roll attack. You aug fizz, and then you have a +T weapon with spell damage because of fossils, and then you can finish up the craft. If you need help with the craft, let me know down below. I'll do a little write-up for you guys, or there might be a write-up in the description. Make sure you keep an eye out. Also, a lot of you guys have asked for like crafting videos. There haven't been much of my forte, but you guys have keep requesting them, and if you keep an eye out, turn on notifications, join the Discord, there'll be posts about crafting videos coming in the future, especially getting closer to next league and people want to know about different profit crafts or how to set up certain things. I want to make sure that I have those readily available for you guys. Now, our shield, we have a vitality. Currently in my current setup, I have actually accidentally overleveled the vitality. You really don't need the vitality at all. You see, I can't even fit the vitality right now. I only have 47 unreserved mana. You can have a low level vitality if you want to help offset the Righteous Fire, but as long as you aren't dying, you really don't need it. You do want to have Divine Blessing linked to haste. It's the only thing that you really care about linking. So if you do the staff version, you have like two links. You have Frost Blink of Wintry Blast connected to faster casting, and then I missed Divergent Gems. Divine Blessing linked to haste. This allows us to turn on our haste every 11 seconds. We get to turn it on. It costs us some mana and energy shield. And the reason why we're using haste is two things. One, haste is giving us movement speed, and it's giving us cast speed. More cast speed means we get the brands out faster, and more cast speed means the activation rate of the brand goes from 0.14 when I press it to 0.12, and this means that the brand ticks so fast and just kills everything. You can see just standing still, my tooltip for my Penance Brand is 6.3 million. Just actually wild. Now, my movement speed right now, and this is without haste on, I think it's under defense, this is 240%. When I press haste, I go to 269. It's a really nice number. and we start moving really fast. So that's why you kind of want to have the haste. The haste is really nice. Our helmet, we're going to be using a heat shiver. I do know somebody's going to say that Penance Brand converts to lightning. I'm very well aware of this and that we don't have cold damage. But if you hover over the tooltip, you'll see that we actually have a ton of fire damage. This is from the Awaken added fire damage support, and we have a ton of cold damage, and this is actually coming from Hatred. Hatred gives us Fizz as extra cold, and we just deal more cold damage. So essentially what happens is we're double dipping. We have all of the Fizz converted to lightning from our gloves, and then we have cold damage from Hatred, and then we double dip into fire damage and all the juice. And just because that Heat Shiver was nerfed doesn't mean that it's still not as really effective. It's still a really strong helmet, and Heat Shiver with +1 power charges in the current state of recording is not that bad. You could probably, I assume if the 8 div guys answer, you get it for 8. You don't care about the resistances or the evasion, so you might even be able to get it for 7. There's a ton of 8, so it's, it's just damage on damage on damage. Now, if you don't want to use Heat Shiver, you'll lose a little bit of damage because you don't get the extra cold damage that converts the fire and the chill and the freeze and all that jazz, and I get it. So you just want a helmet that has power charges. Our helmet's going to have our Hatred, we're going to have our Wrath, we're going to have a Zealotry, and we're going to have an Awaken and Enlighten 4. Unfortunately, unless you use that which was taken and charms that give you RMR, you're gonna need Awaken and Enlighten 4. Or not Awaken and Enlighten. You're gonna need Enlighten 4. Just basic Enlighten 4. It does not need to be Awakened. Somebody's gonna yell at me in the comments for saying Awaken and Enlighten. You just need regular Enlighten 4. That's it. You don't need the Awakened side of it. Just regular Enlighten 4. They do the same thing. It's probably actually cheaper to just get an Enlighten 4. This one's 125 divs. Regular Enlighten 4 is like 80. So just get regular Enlighten 4. Yes. Our ring, we have a Calandra's Touch ring, and I did manage to pick up a power charge ring really early in the league. I paid about 150 divs for this. If you don't have a power charge ring, then you just want a ring with crit multi, or you want a ring that has an implicit with damage per power charge or spell damage per power charge. While having a power charge ring is really, really, really nice, you can actually get away with 2 rare rings that have crit multi and some life and, damage on them. The current state of these power charge rings is out of control. I would definitely try to get a ring that has damage per power charge or spell damage per power charge instead, just to substitute. If you do happen to have a power charge ring, throw it on, have a good time. There is a really cool way to farm power charge rings with doing synthesized maps, and I want to make a video about that in the future. But the TLDR is you just run the 4 synthesized maps and you do the invitation. When you do the invitation, you drop a bunch of these synthesized rings, these unique rings, while doing it, and you have the chance of in the invitation you have a chance of good synthesized items that can be power charge rings. Now I know the power charge ring is expensive. I'm sorry, you don't need it. It's just extra and more damage. You can actually just, like, if I show you, I can like take this off and go into the Forbidden Sanctum, and I'm gonna just bang out a room really quick. Draw my auras. We just bang out a room. You see, like, everything still just immediately dies. So, like, while it's really nice, you don't really need it. Everything just drops dead. So, like, don't freak out over the ring. I always do these videos and I always realize the price in some of these things, and I like feel bad because I like have gear forever, and like some of you guys are like, bro, what the heck? And I'm like, I'm sorry, my bad. Now, the gloves are pretty basic. I got a pair of gloves, Sork gloves, very specific that the gloves have energy shield on them. You want gloves with energy shield on them for Eldritch Battery so that you have energy shield. The gloves I got with fractured dexterity because you need dexterity for some of your skills. I pretty much just hit the gloves with Veiled Chaos Orbs. Like, you don't have to do anything. You just hit the gloves over and over and over with Veiled Chaos Orbs until you get a suffix, and then you unveil Brand Attachment Range. Brand Attachment Range is crazy strong. To do the prefixes of the gloves, you just add, what is it? Searing Exarch. You put Searing Exarch influence on the gloves, you use Eldritch Currency, and you re-roll them until you get some nice prefixes on your gloves. You craft on physical damage converted to lightning. Your Eldritch modifiers are physical damage converted to lightning. Essentially, you want to come up with 50% convert, because Penance Brand gives you 50%. You need the other 50% from the gloves, not your 100%. Easy. The second mod, I did damage per frenzy charge. I have exceptional because I just happened to, while I was trying to elevate, roll an exceptional and hit increased damage per frenzy charge. So I just left it on. Our gloves are going to be arrogant support tied to Herald of Purity. And we're going to have steel skin with cast when damage taken. The steel skin doesn't really do much. You kind of just die. Like if you get hit, you're going to die. There's no way around it. The character's good at one thing and one thing only, Sanctum. You might actually be able to do Uber bosses. And Blossom said that he's actually been able to do some Valdo maps because you just deal so much damage that you might actually be able to like hop into Valdo maps with this and like blow up some Valdo maps. But essentially the character is designed to do Sanctum and only Sanctum and Sanctum and Sanctum. I haven't really like expanded it to do other content. If you try to do other content, it's probably not going to work. You might be able to do, you could probably do Ubers. I assume you could do Ubers. You know, you'll probably die to Serious Storm, but like everything else, I mean, everything else, you just blow up, right? Just don't get hit. Just don't get hit. Yeah. Don't get hit. Solid. If you're like me and you suck at mechanics, you're going to get hit. You're going to die. So just keep that in mind. Mage Blood speaks for itself. Mage Bloods this league are really cheap. I know somebody's gonna yell at me. They're about 110 divs. They are the cheapest they've ever been. I'm currently rate limited. You can get a Mage Blood for 107, roll it yourself until 4 Flask. If you're having trouble farming the money for a Mage Blood or having trouble farming the money for this build, I have plenty of videos on my YouTube channel that will really guide you and hold your hand and walk you through everything that you need to farm the currency that you need to be able to afford this gear. This is the best league ever to make money doing anything, period, ever, period, and make a ton of money. So we can really get you there. And if you're willing to learn and you want to try, or you have questions or you're stuck, ask in the comments down below. Come to the Discord, ask in the POE channel. We will do our best to help you to learn the best way for you to make currency, because this is the league to do it. Now, my boots are +1 the maximum endurance charges. I don't know how much you need the +1 max endurance charge. It helps for like regen and PDR and resistance and stuff. But I mean, like, if you just want to get Ralakesh, just get Ralakesh, right? The only thing you really care about the Ralakesh is the increased frenzy power and endurance charges. The boots themselves, they have conductivity in them, wave of conviction, hex touch support, and LE weakness. So essentially what happens is when you get to a boss, you'll see when at the end of this video, when you watch the Sanctum Run, I'll cast all my stuff, I'll press haste, I'll cast all my stuff, I'll pop my flask, and I'll just do one of these, and the boss will just be like, what's the word I'm looking for? Just completely debuffed with exposure and all kinds of stuff, and just immediately drop dead. Yeah, I mean, my wave of conviction does 3.9 million DPS. It's pretty insane. You just kind of like run around, you just I like the character, and I make a lot of sound effects when I do Sanctum. I'm sorry, it's weird. I know, my bad. Flask are pretty straightforward. You have a Bottle of Faith. You have a Silver Flask for cast speed with increased effect. Without this flask on, like you can see, our cast speed is a lot less. We put the flask back on, our cast speed goes up through the roof. More cast speed is really good. Without the flask, our activation range is 0.18. With the flask on, it goes 0.14. With haste on, 0.12. So this flask is really important. As far as the Bismuth Flask goes, I don't really know if you need the Bismuth Flask. It might actually be better to be a crit flask. I believe in the POB. Yes, in the POB link down below, Blossom has updated it to be a Diamond Flask with LE resistances instead of a Bismuth Flask with crit in the suffix. It's probably going to be a lot better to have a Diamond Flask so that you get your crit really nice. But you pretty much, all you really care about in this build is having your fire resistance capped, because you want to make sure that you just don't immediately die to Righteous Fire. So you want to have a nice little fire resistance cap and a little bit of regenerate life. Because if I take this off, you'll see right away, if I hide my face, my life starts burning, and I'm burning, and I'm burning, and I put this back on, and I'm regenning, and I'm regenning, and I'm regenning. Same thing with the Ruby Flask. The Ruby Flask is actually really important overall in the grand scheme of things. We need the Ruby Flask so that we can have the damage reduction to fire, because as you can see, my health is burning. So as long as I have the Ruby Flask on with the reduced damage taken, I'm pretty much okay to sustain Righteous Fire without any real issues. We have the critical strike suffix on the Ruby Flask. Really nice to make sure that we crit all the time. We have a lot of crit just because we have power charges, but we really want to make sure that our crit pretty much stays as close to cap as possible. Right now it says I'm at like 91%, but with Ascendancy nodes, I'm at like 100, so don't worry. It'll say 100% in POB because you have crit chance against enemies on full life and low life, but we'll talk about that in a second. Overall, that's pretty much the flask. We have a Quicksilver with movement speed. This one's really important. If I don't have the Onslaught and I don't have the Quicksilver, my movement speed itself is really slow. I only have 96% movement speed. If I put this on, I have 201, and when I put this on, I have 240. Sanctum is designed to go as fast as possible. You really don't want to be dilly-dallying a lot in between the floors. Originally, I had a weapon swap tech too. I'm going to do a video on the weapon swap, so that's coming out too. But originally, I had like even a weapon swap so that I can go faster, but we've actually managed to solve that without the weapon swap, which has been really, really nice because we are a Scion, or Shadow. We are a Shadow, and we get cool access to things like Elusive. So with that, let's talk about the actual Atlas tree or passive tree and what we're doing. A passive tree. We are an assassin. We take ambush and assassinate. I had just mentioned this. This gives us more critical strike chance against enemies on full life, on low life, crit multi, culling strike. This is pretty much like just chef's kiss of damage. It's unbeatable. Even the small nodes gives us crit multi and crit strike chance. Same thing here. Crit multi, crit strike chance. Damage from your critical strikes can't be reflected. This is really nice because we have 100% crit chance. So if I want to go into a maps, I don't have to worry about reflect maps. This also gives us more damage while there's at least one there's at most one rare unique enemy, and this is what we need, and this gives us that nice big boost of damage in Sanctum against our bosses. We also take 20% reduced damage while there's at least 2 rare unique enemies nearby. You're probably dead if you get hit, so I mean that part doesn't really do a whole lot, but I mean there's a chance that kind of keeps you alive. Unstable infusion, this gives us another power charge, and we gain power charge on crits. That doesn't matter, we always have power charges. Like Ralakesh just says power charges are on, but if we didn't have Ralakesh, this will give us power charge on crit. Since we always crit, we always have power charges. And then the same thing for the small node, critical strike chance here. And the last node gives us crit multi per power charge. I think we have like 10 power charges. So we just have like a ton of critical strike chance and a ton of crit multi. And you'll see that we have Mistwalker. We have this so we can gain Elusive. Elusive gives us a ton of movement speed and a chance to avoid damage. So we gain 30% movement speed and 50% chance to avoid damage. So Mistwalker itself is really good. We get this out of Forbidden Flame and Flesh. You'll see the tree is pretty straightforward. We take Pain Attunement for more spell damage while on low life, Assassinate for critical strike chance, Blood Siphon for like life and stuff. We have a Watcher's Eye that gives us the only important mod on this Watcher's Eye is critical strikes penetrate elemental resistance while affected by Zealotry. You can actually find a really nice Watcher's Eye that has a lot of cool useful stats on it, but the only stat that you really care about is the critical strike chance penetrates. The Watcher's Eye with just this mod by itself. No, not this one. This one. These are cheap. These are like a div. They're not even that bad at all. And then outside of that, Throat Seeker for some damage, Doomcast for some damage, a little bit of life, RMR, and then, additional curses so that we can do the whole Hex Touch setup. And what else do we have? We have a cluster, Sadist Snowstorm, Widespread Destruction. This one's pretty good. It's a little pricey. It's about 7 divs at the time of recording. You don't need Widespread Destruction. You just need Sadist and Snowstorm. If you could find any third notable that's in the back, then you're pretty happy. Snowstorm's giving you extra lightning damage against chilled enemies, and Sadist is just giving you just a ton of damage because we Shocking Knight and chill. We have that which was taken. The only thing that's really important on this is the critical strike chance per power charge. The extra strength and int is nice. It's okay. If you can't get it, don't worry about it. There are so many other things that you can get. The only thing you care about is critical strike multi with power charges. So like if you just look for just that mod, it's like 5 divs for just that mod. It's a lot of damage though, considering the fact of how many power charges we have. Our small clusters are a little bit expensive. We do Grand Design Remarkable clusters. These by themselves, they are a little pricey. They're between 5 and 8 divs. I got mine specifically with brand attachment range for Sanctum. Having the brand attachment range is really nice. Right now, while recording, there are 2 up for 5 divs. I would buy these. I would buy these if I didn't already have them. That is a steal. Having the extra brand attachment range is really nice so that you can like stake your brands and they will jump mob to mob to mob, and they'll pretty much that's what helps you clear the floor. We had mentioned that we have Forbidden Flames and Fleshes for Mistwalker. These are the red side's 5 div. I don't know if they'll stay 5 div if people decide to play this or decide to do this. I don't know where the blue one is. Where did I put the blue one? Is the blue one over here? The blue one's like 3 divs. So like they're pretty cheap right now. We do have a Militant Faith with Dominus. Now, You have to make sure that the Militant Faith is Dominus for Inner Conviction, so you get more spell damage per power charge. That is very important. As far as everything else in the Militant Faith, you only care about the reduced mana cost of skills and the effect of non-curse aura. Now, the thing with this Militant Faith, the number on the seed matters. So you don't need my number, but you need to check with the seeds so that they don't override the two notables. So pretty much what you do is you just uncheck this and you bring up Timeless Jewels. Now, if you don't want the non-curse aura and you just want the mana cost, that's fine. So you save a little bit of money. So if you just do mana cost and you just do Dominus, these are like 100, they're like a div. You pretty much just click this button to copy the item, load it into POB, and when you load it into POB, double check that this node and this node did not change. That's the only thing you need to do. If they change, check the next one. I mean, like if you change this to something, that's probably okay. This one, you don't want to change this one. This one's the important one. Don't change this one. This one's the really important one. We want to make sure that we have power charges. And then outside of that, we have another cluster, Sadist, Snowstorm, Widespread Destruction. Same thing here, Grand Design, Remarkable Brand Attachment Range, Grand Design, Remarkable Attachment Range. This jewel is relatively important. Now, you don't need the reduced mana cost of skills on the implicit of the jewel. You do need a jewel that has RMR if you want to use Vitality and level your Vitality. You can see I take it off. I don't actually need it. My brand is 103. Even without this jewel, I can still cast my brand and everything is okay. The only reason that you would need this jewel in this specific setup is if you want to put on Vitality and you want to level a little bit of Vitality. Otherwise, you just do crit multi, crit multi, crit multi. But like I said, if you're looking for that little bit extra or you don't have access to Enlighten 4 and you need to start squeezing in RMR somewhere, then it becomes a little bit of important to have reserve manifestation efficiency of skills. Otherwise, don't worry about it too much. You see here, this jewel isn't even optimal. Who cares about cold damage? We're not a cold scale. We just want, when you do jewels, do crit multi, crit multi. So crit multi global, crit multi multiplier for spells, and crit multi lightning if you can. I had these on my old bosser. I just took them and threw them on. These are bad because they don't have crit multi for lightning. So like this doesn't really do anything, but it does a little bit, but it's not enough. So just make sure if you get triple crit multi, you get it for lightning and not cold. I know somebody's gonna blindly copy this POB and comment and be like, I don't get it. What I do, it's wrong. Hello? And I'm like, did you watch the video? And they're gonna be like, no. And I'm like, that's your fault. And then that's it, man. That's the POB. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty direct. Like I had mentioned earlier, and I didn't talk about, we do have charms on the character. The charms are crit multi per power charge. Now I can actually take these off just to showcase this because this is going to be important because somebody's not going to pay attention. You can see I have no stat requirement problems. These are my old jewels from when I played my Boston character. I just moved them over so I could save a little bit of money because I didn't sell anything. Now, the only thing that's important on these jewels before you spend a ton of money is the critical strike multiplier per power charge. So you don't care what the second mod is. You only care about the critical strike multi per power charge, and you can actually get 5s, and 5s are like 100C, 150C. So I would go out and I would go get 5 of these critical strike multi per power charge because you don't need the extra strength and int on this character because all of the stat requirements are pretty much covered. If you do find out that you are short stats for some strange, weird reason, then get the stats on the jewels. It should be okay. Otherwise, that's pretty much everything, you know? And if you have any questions or you're concerned or you're lost or you don't know how to do something or you want to talk about crafting the gloves or crafting the weapon, you know, leave a comment down below. Like I had mentioned, Blossom's POB is in the comments down below. And for now, I'm going to go finish off this Sanctum run. So friends, I'll see you all in the next one. So unfortunately, when I went to go record the second half of the run, I forgot to press start recording. So I'm going to be giving you guys a completely fresh Sanctum run, floor 1 through 4. And you guys will be able to sit back and enjoy it and, you know, have fun. And if you decide to build this build and you put it all together and it works for you, or you get an original sin before me or in the scripture, by all means, don't forget to leave a comment down below and let me know. But for now, friends, sit back, relax, and enjoy the Sanctum run.
to my sycophants. These are flesh vessels, just like you.
You stare into the abyss, and the abyss stares back. Feed the beast all that it desires.
You have invoked the wrath of a powerful entity. Perish! You have challenged my legion, but you will succumb.
Just
You stare into the abyss, and the abyss stares back. You advance my plans every time you return here. Playing with fire will get you burned. You advance my plans every time you return here.
You cannot escape Vedat's gaze! I have such sights to show you.